everyone, Sarah from House of Ezra here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for hanging out with me as I film an ink swatch video. This is a super exciting video. This is my first little ink swap that I've done with a pen friend, and I'm just excited and overwhelmed at the generosity, to be honest. So, a little bit of a backstory. When I started putting feelers out there to do the Aussie ink swap that'll happen at the beginning of next year, Jane, who's hopefully I can link her YouTube and her Instagram in the description. My pen friend on Instagram, or my new pen friend now, reached out and said, absolutely want to be involved, but do you want to do a little swap in the meantime? To which I jumped at the chance. She's just put up a video of the inks I sent her. We were chatting about inks that we like and don't like, etc. And I said to her that I'm really struggling to find blues. And today, this arrived in the mail, and I am just overwhelmed. She sent 8 samples, guys. 8. And they're like, there's not a tiny bit of ink in there. Like, the generosity is just incredible. It's so beautiful. Along with that, she sent me a piece of blotting paper, which is awesome because I don't have any, so we're going to use that one straight away. And in here, I mean, even just look at that envelope. Gorgeous. Some different paper samples, which I can't wait to get my hands on and try out different inks on them. Tomorrow River. View Corona, which I actually haven't heard of. Oh, that's paper. Thin. Japanese milled, Cosmo Air Light, and White Excel, which is so incredible. There's a fun afternoon somewhere there of testing out inks on different paper. And in here, I'm not going to show you what's in here, but this is a letter. It is such a beautiful letter. When I was writing a letter to her, I got really in my head about how much do I share? Am I going to come across as a nerd? And blah, blah, blah. And for me, this letter is just an example of someone sharing the perfect amount of themselves. And through her words about herself and her questions about me, there's just this kindness that just radiates from it. So I can't wait to reply. And I actually think what I'm going to do is at the end of this swatch, whichever one becomes my favorite, that's what I'm going to write back to her in. I think that's what I'm going to do. So for someone who, I think in here I have like 1 blue swatch, 2, and I gave her this one because I was like, I'm never going to use it. Hopefully you will. I'm going to swatch 8 blue inks. Incredible. Do you know what? I said 8 and I only drew 7 circles. Okay, we are back magically with 8 circles, so that one went a little bit wonky. Today for swatching, I'm just using a paintbrush that I know nothing about, but it works for me. And this is the Pilot Iro Utsushi dip pen in a fine nib. I'm absolutely loving this dip pen. It's working really well for me. I definitely do want to try the medium, and I'm thinking of maybe getting the medium with the wooden handle, which are a little bit more expensive, but they look really beautiful. The black wooden handle is what I'm thinking. But I'm really loving this. And for me, I feel like with some other swatches, it's giving me a better understanding of what it would look like in a fine nib pen, and then from that I can kind of think about what it would look like in an extra fine or a medium compared to the Moonman dip pen I had that just really wasn't working for me. Because I don't think I'm going to have any of these inks, I've also just pulled out some of my little swatch cards, so I'm going to be swatching in 2 places as we go along. Depending for time, if after 4 I need to stop the video and split it into 2, I will let you know. So let's see, which one do we want to do first? Should we do the one that leaked first? Let's do that. This is incredible. So this is Robert Oster Fire and Ice, which from what I understand, can you see how full that is? It's incredible. So generous. Amazing. So I have heard a lot. I think this ink's quite popular. I'm not going to be able to give many backstories on blues because I just don't gravitate towards the ink, so I really am discovering these in real time with you. 2 minutes in, ink everywhere. So what I was saying is, from what I know, this is quite a famous Robert Noster blue, if not like the one. I think it's supposed to be very saturated, quite vibrant. Let's see how we go. Wow, definitely both of those things, and I don't think I put enough ink on. I'm not sure. Like, I guess she has written, which one's a shimmer, and there's a scented one in there, which is really cool. But like, I don't know if to expect sheen or shade or whatever it may be. Let's put a little bit more ink here. I feel like I'm slowly getting the hang of it, but still working out what is the right amount to put down. And then I start messing with trying to make it a perfect circle, and I should have just left it. So first impressions on that is, I never, if I was looking at light blues on the computer, for an example, to order a sample, I'd never pick it. But then putting it on the paper, it actually looks really beautiful. And I think why I wouldn't pick it was I would think it would just kind of remind me of like that kind of like cheap biro blue, but this is nothing like that. And as much as it's a blue, there is a warmth to it. Like, it doesn't feel really cold either. Trying to see, are there hints of green in there? The base color is definitely like a light blue, but then there are just hints of like a darker blue near the edges of the pooling. It's actually really beautiful, and it's one that I just never would, even though I know everyone talks about it and loves it, I would never pick it up. Looking at it's pretty incredible how saturated it is. Like, that's so legible. I'd be totally fine writing with that. I don't think you'd strain reading that on the page at all. Wow, how cool is that? What a beautiful ink. Well, first ink down, and maybe I'm being proven wrong on blues already. Amazing. So that is Robert Oster Fire and Ice. I'm just finding a place for my little doodads. Next up, let's go. Oh, let's do the scented one. This is Diatramentus Hyacinth, which is scented. What am I saying? Now, just looking at the bottle, this looks like quite a dark blue, maybe like a bit purpley. Oh, wow, that is again really saturated, dark. I want to say it's an electric blue, but electric blue is usually lighter, but it just has that vibrancy to it. I'm just trying to see if you can smell. Oh wow, you really can. So as you like lay down the ink, it just kind of, you get these hints of this kind of floral scent, but it's not overpowering. Like, I feel if you were to get a letter, say, written with this, you wouldn't open up a page and kind of turn up your nose. It's quite subtle, which I prefer. I've never tried a scented ink before, and that thought is what's turned me off them, that I think would turn me off them, that it would be really overpowering, but that's not at all. It's really subtle. And again, same thing just there, just laying it on that card, just a really subtle hint. So let's see how it looks in the pen. This is the first ever De Atramentis ink that I've swatched as well. Am I going to run out of room? Hyacinth. Putting that to one side there. Ooh, mess that up. Now I am just noticing the one I did have a big glob of ink in that dip pen. So it has feathered a little bit where the R and the A are, but nowhere else. So and when I was just cleaning that pen, it kind of had this glob of ink just stuck there. So I think that may be more of a pen or how I was holding it thing versus, the ink or the paper not being able to cope with the ink. Just going to pop the lid on and then we can have a closer look. Definitely feel like I get more of a waft of the perfume as I'm doing the ink swatch versus when I'm just writing it. But as it dries, there's this really nice purple, I feel, kind of underneath the blue. It doesn't take away from it. Like I wouldn't call it a blurple. I don't think it is a mix between them. It is a blue, but it's just got this addition to it, which is really, really nice. And I'm just aware of how much of the fire and ice I've got on me. You can see where it pulls. It's got a little bit of a really, really dark blue, almost black border. Wow. Show you the feathering there. I think that's more the pen. And not to be weird, but I'm going to smell the page. Yeah, you can smell it a little bit. I really do like the subtlety. That's a big win for me. It's scented, but it's not tacky, if that makes sense. It's not like, when you get scented things, or you can tell the difference between a really nice candle and a candle you buy at the $2 shop. This is not a $2 shop ink. It's got purpose, that smell, and you can tell it. I guess it's the level to which they've incorporated it into the ink has been thought out, which is really cool because I've never experienced that before. All right, I'm going to hit pause, change the water, try and get some of this ink off, and then come back. And when we come back, we'll do Pilot Iroshizuku Kujiku. I have heard about this ink. I'm super excited. All right, I'll be right back. All right, so next up, Pilot Iroshizuku Kujiku. I'm pretty sure I've watched a Karina Loves to Plan video with this one. I think she uses this, and it looked really nice. I have loved every Pilot Iroshizuku ink that I have tried thus far, so I feel like this will be no different. Just looking at it in the bottle, I wonder if it has like a hint of green. It kind of looks maybe a little bit tealy. Let's see. So my first impression when I first started filling the swatch was that it was similar to the Robert Oster Fire and Ice. But as soon as I thought that, my thoughts then shifted because it started to dry, and it is actually quite different. So it does definitely lean more towards a teal, in my opinion. I know, is it teal? Is it green? Is it blue? People can have quite strong opinions. Maybe it isn't. I don't think it's a true teal, but there's definitely like a green in there. And it's got this really interesting, I really like that. Is it like almost a grey? If you look at these two, yes, they look different. This one looks more bluer, but this is almost maybe a touch more muted, like in the bit where there's less ink. If you compare there to here, there's some noisy birds outside. It's just got like a muted quality to it, which I love. I love muted inks. I really, really like that. I love anything that kind of leans green. Ooh, that's really, really beautiful. So a little bit more on some really angry birds outside. All right, just putting some on this little swatch there. Wow, that's so beautiful. Of the three, this is my favorite so far. So this is Pilot Iroshizuku, and this is, it's a J, it's a K, isn't it? Yes. Pilot Iroshizuku Kujuku. Ooh, I love that so much. Last one for this page. Let's do a bit of a lucky dip. This is Diamine Sargasso C. I've never heard of this. Looking at it in the bottle, ooh, it looks really dark and deep. Cool. So we've kind of, by chance, because I'm just kind of lucky dipping here. Oh, can you see that in there? That looks really cool. I think we're going to end up with kind of 2 medium and 2 dark. So dipping my paintbrush in. That's a complete coincidence that I've done that. So unless I've had a bunch of excess water on the brush, which I don't think I had too much of, but I'll make sure that it's, like, I'll check when I do the swatch on the little card. The first thing that I notice is that this is, it just feels like a wetter ink compared to the others. Just added another bit there. And I also have no idea where the Sargasso C is. I know that Diamine's English, so I'm not sure if it's somewhere there. I'm going to add a little bit more ink to the brush for this one. Oh, wow. So when you actually lay down quite a bit of ink, look at the depth of that colour. That's beautiful. There's definitely something going on where you pull them. That's really cool. And what I love about inks is you could look at those quickly and go, oh, they look pretty similar. And then you go back and you go, well, no, this one's cooler, this one's warmer. This one shades differently to this one. This one is sheening a bit, whereas this one isn't, but it does have something along the borders there. When it's darker and drying, it looks quite purple, almost like ultraviolet, but let's see what it's like once it's dried completely. Like, no 2 inks are the same. Well, I say that, but I have seen some people, I don't have the Diamine Inkvent, but I know some people have been pretty disappointed this year. So when I say no 2 inks are the same, I mean it in this setting, not in a Diamine Inkvent setting. So this is, oh, I like how it looks in the pen. So I really like inks that maybe could pass as black, or I kind of call them almost black. And this maybe could go into that category. I mean, it's definitely blue. Ooh, that was very messy, but I love the darkness and the richness of it. So I'll just put my lid back on this one. But they are our first 4 blues. Look at that. Ooh. So of these 4, I do think the Pilot is still my favorite. It's funny. It's like something in my brain's telling me not to like this, because I've always not really found blues likable, but I keep coming back to this. There's something quite enticing about that ink. So this is Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki. Oh, do you know what I need to do? very carefully just shift my blotting paper over. Okay. So my first impressions might sound a bit simple, but I guess this is like a true blue. Like when I think of blue, this is the kind of color I think of. Kind of reminds me of, I want to say like school almost. The ink feels really nice going down. I think, like, I don't want to say it's basic, but to me it just reads as a true blue, whereas I see hints of other colors in these ones. What's screaming at me there is blue. I'm interested to see how it looks in the dip pen, because I do wonder if it would end up being a bit too light, but I know that this ink is very popular, so I'm going to assume no, like I'm going to assume that it's going to be really readable. Just cleaning off that. So this is the palette of Roshizuku, and I think, yeah, it's not too light at all in the pen. This might be a very unpopular opinion, but thus far that's probably the one that I'm least taken with, but I know it's a favorite for a lot of people. So we have 3 left. We have a Robert Oster, a Diamine, and a Ferris Wheel Press, which is a shimmer. I'll leave the shimmer to last. Let's go Robert Oster, I think Flaming Blue. And I actually can't really see in there. I haven't heard of this one. Just looking at it there, it looks like a darker blue again. Let's have a looky-loo. And I have every one of these vials is filled to the brim. It's just so generous. I would say that Jane is much more knowledgeable. Ooh, I like that. About fountain pens than me. I definitely recommend checking out her YouTube channel and her Instagram. She has some pretty cool like bespoke pens as well. Like she's got one which is very high on my list to get from an Australian brand, a guy who makes pens called Just Turnings, and she has like a bespoke Just Turnings pen which looks so beautiful. And it was when I saw it on her video that I went and jumped on his Instagram and looked at every post he's ever made. And it's, I guess because of her and her videos that I went, oh, this is a pen that I think would be really, or, one of his pens would be really beautiful to have in a collection, and I want to save up, to get one when it's really special, when I find, the right one that he makes. He does all the turning himself. I actually think in the last couple of weeks, Jane put up a fountain pen collection video, which was really cool to watch. She has a really nice collection. So I got a bit distracted there, but this blue is my vibe. This is dark, hints of grey, hints of black, which is where I think I feel I might add a little bit more ink there, more comfortable. When it goes on, it looks more saturated, and then as it dries, you kind of get those little hints of like that muted feeling, which I was kind of describing over here. I see grey, black, purple, and blue in there. I would imagine that this is going to be a really nice shading ink. I really like this. This looks this is Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is in my wheelhouse, this one. What's this one called? Flaming Blue. So that's still drying. But I think if I had that in like a medium nib, you get some really nice shading in there. That's gorgeous. Running out of space. So just do another little dip. Robert Foster. Wow, that is gorgeous, that ink. Look at this, and I wash my hands. Next up, Diamine Florida Blue. Looking at, again, I haven't heard of this one. It's looking like maybe like a medium to dark blue. Let's see. Yeah, so I'd call that like a medium darkness. It's always like a battle of my type A personality. I want the circle to be perfect because I can just see when it's not, but at the same time I don't. So you get the different layers of ink and the pooling and the this and the that. And it's like, which one's going to win out? So this to me, probably similar description. I mean, the Konpeki is lighter, but that just looks like, when I think of what is a stock standard description of a blue, that's what I'm thinking about. This one's darker than the Konpeki. Not necessarily warmer, just darker. Maybe it has like less greens in it. It does look like, that one looks like it's going to bleed quite a bit through the page. Yeah. So I don't know if I just put more down, but I feel like I was like quite generous with some other ones. But already I can actually almost see it on the surface of the paper, you know, when I don't know what that's called, but I can just see that it's like disrupted the coating or whatever it is. I don't know the technical terms of what I'm trying to describe. I always try and have bits of the swatches where there is a lot of ink, but also bits where there isn't, because, you know, if you're writing with a pen, if you're writing with an extra fine, you're not going to get this massive amount of ink on the page. So I like being able to see, you know, like a truer representation of what it's going to look like, both in the writing but in the swatch as well. So this is Diamine Florida Blue, running out of ink there. So, oh wow, I haven't agitated that yet, and all that shimmer's being sitting there. So as I get this one moving, this is Ferris Wheel Press Tumbling Time Blue Shimmer, and it looks like a blue ink with I'm thinking it's a blue shimmer. It could be a silver, but I'm pretty confident it's a blue shimmer. And looking at it, it looks like it is absolutely jam-packed with shimmer as well, which is really cool. I only have one other Ferris Wheel Press shimmer ink, and that is a grey with a silver shimmer, April Showers, which I haven't inked up yet, but I love the swatch. And I've swatched a couple other Ferris Wheel Press inks that I really love the look of. I haven't put one in a pen yet, but I definitely will in January. So last, but definitely not least, let's give this one a go. Hopefully we get a good glob of shimmer. Oh, I wasn't expecting it to be that dark at all. It didn't look that dark in the tube. Oh, there is quite a bit of ink there. Well, oh wow, it has not even dry. It's not even close to being dry, and that shimmer is just jumping out of the page. Maybe I just went a bit heavy with the ink there. So is that a blue shimmer or a silver? Wow. I'll bring it up so you can see, but just as that's drying, the shimmer is just, it's really present, but not overpowering. I think it's a blue shimmer. It went down a lot darker than I thought it would. I'm interested to see how it dries fully, but that's really cool. Here's the shimmer in there. And just fold that over. Wow. How amazing is that? That's gorgeous. And there's some red sheen coming up as well. So this is a shimmering and a sheening ink. Maybe that's the one that, well, it doesn't look like it leaked. Wow. And it looks like a red sheen, but it actually almost comes across as purple. But look at that shimmer. All right, let's write with it and see with a fine nib how much comes up. So this is Tumbling Time Blue. Ferris wheel press. So straight away, even in a fine nib, I'm seeing the shimmer. That's incredible. Just do this one as well. But I like that you can see the shimmer, but it's not taking away from it. It's only adding to it. It doesn't make it hard to read or distracting or anything like that. But I'm not sure if we'll see the sheen in a fine nib, but I'll lift it up in a second. Oh, the shimmer. Crazy amounts. Wow. Maybe because the other Ferris wheel press I have is grey, it's a bit more subtle maybe, or maybe Jane just gave me a sample with a boatload of shimmer in it, but that is pretty spectacular. So I'll show you this one first. There's actually some little bits of shading as well. So I'm going to call that a really dark, warm blue. I mean, that sample, like the whole thing just is sheen. So putting that in like a chunky, wet nib would be pretty amazing. Ooh, I wonder how it would write in a stub nib. And then on the page, I mean, that sample, you are, even in a fine nib, I'm getting bits of sheen there and shimmer. So that is the mega, complete, amazingly generous, incredibly thoughtful ink swatching or ink sampling package Jane sent. I'll just flip over for you. So we have Robert Oster Fire and Ice, Diatramantis Hyacinth, Pilot Iroshizuku Kujaku, and Daimon Sargasso C. Little bits of bleed through, but only on the swatches. In the writing sample, nothing. Went a bit crazy on that ink there. Always going to get some ghosting, but no bleed through. The only touch of feathering I got is just in the Diatramantis, but as I said before, I think that was, yeah, when I lifted the pen up, it was globbing in there, which it hasn't done before. And then on this side, we have Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki, Robert Oster Flaming Blue, Diamond Florida Blue, and Ferris Wheel Press Tumbling Time Blue. And again, turning over, these two haven't bled through at all, which is pretty cool. the writing samples I actually thought would ghost more. I thought these 3 would ghost more than they have, and they haven't at all. There is no feathering whatsoever. See how long that one takes to dry. There's just more sheen coming up as you see it. That is just incredible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Jane, for this incredible sampling package of blues. You have opened my mind, and I am wrong. There are definitely blues to love. I'm going to say my favourites for everyday writing are going to be Robert Oster Flaming Blue, and I think the Kujaku. I mean, this is pretty incredible, but which one am I going to choose to write back in? Thank you all so much for sticking around for what has become a very long video, but for me at least, really enjoyable. I'd love to know if you have any of these inks, what you love, what you don't love. As I said before, any pen pairings. Definitely, is opening my eyes to blue, and I'm super excited to give it a go. Yeah, I'm just looking at the page now and going, this is the one. This is the one that is calling me the most. That's what I want to ink up first. So that is what I think I'm going to do. I would love to hear from you guys. I'm really hoping to get this out before the end of the year, hoping I could even maybe have it out on Christmas Eve as like a bit of like a self-celebration of something really amazing that's happened for me. So if it is coming out on the 24th and you celebrate Christmas, wishing you a very, very Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to those celebrating Hanukkah. I hope everyone has a really safe and happy new year, and I can't wait to chat to you guys all again soon. See you later.